Why there's so much pain in the world. Why life, even with its beautiful moments, often feels so heavy. It all started in a garden. A perfect garden where there was no sadness, no fear, no death. It was a place where everything was peaceful. And that's where our story begins, the story of humanity. A story that still echoes inside us. Before we continue, if this topic has touched your heart in any way, leave a like, subscribe to the Bíblia Falada channel, and comment below what stands out the most to you in this story. The name of that garden was Eden. The Bible says it was God who planted it. He formed the land, the trees, the rivers, and the animals. And everything was good. Not just beautiful, it was truly good. A place where everything existed in harmony. Nothing there was corrupted. Nothing was sick. Nothing was broken. God created human beings in His image and likeness, and He placed them in the center of Eden to care for creation and live in communion with Him. Adam was the first. God formed him from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and he became a living being. But God saw that man couldn't live alone. It wasn't good. So He caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, took one of his ribs, and from it formed Eve. And there was the original couple, living together in peace, in love, and most importantly, in full connection with the Creator. But in the center of the garden, God placed two special trees, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. About the latter, God gave a clear warning. Do not eat the fruit of this tree, for on the day you eat of it, you will surely die. It wasn't a threat, it was protection. Like a father protecting his child from something they can't yet understand, because true love requires freedom, and freedom includes choice. And where there's choice, there's the risk of disobedience. What happened next changed everything. The serpent, the craftiest of all creatures, appeared. She didn't force Eve to do anything. She simply planted a doubt. Did God really say that? And that question still lives on today in our thoughts when we question the truth, when we doubt what's good, when we believe we can decide what's right or wrong based solely on how we feel. Eve looked at the fruit. It was beautiful, desirable, and it looked good, so she ate it and gave some to Adam, who was with her, and he ate it too. In that moment, something inside them broke. Their eyes were opened, yes, but not in the way they expected. They realized they were naked. They felt shame. They hid among the trees. And for the first time, humanity was afraid of God. This is where pain begins, and also, surprisingly, where hope begins. But first, if this moment touched you, if this story is making you reflect, leave a like now, subscribe to the Bíblia Falada channel, and comment below what moves you the most about this part of Genesis. God, who always came to walk with them in the cool of the evening, appeared, and He asked, "Where are you?" Not because He didn't know, but because He wanted them to realize where they had ended up. Adam answered, "I heard your voice, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." The man who once walked with God now hides. The relationship that was intimate was now broken. God asked, "Who told you that you were naked? Did you eat from the tree I commanded you not to eat from?" And that's when the blame game started. Adam said, "It was the woman you gave." Eve said, "It was the serpent." Each one tried to shift responsibility. No one owned up to it. And that also remains true today, the difficulty of facing our mistakes. Yet even so, God didn't destroy them. He listened. He spoke to each one. He showed them the consequences of the choice they had made. To the serpent, he said there would be enmity between her and the woman, and that one day her descendant would crush the serpent's head. Here is the first promise of redemption in the Bible. In the midst of failure, in the midst of pain, God was already planting hope. To the woman, God spoke of the pain of childbirth. Motherhood, which was meant to be pure joy, would now be accompanied by suffering. To the man, the work that had once been a joy would now be hard. The ground would produce thorns. Sweat would be necessary. And in the end, the body would return to dust. Death entered the world. But even in the face of all this, God did something surprising. Adam and Eve were trying to cover their shame with leaves. But God made garments of skin for them, God Himself. An animal was sacrificed to clothe them. This simple act carries deep symbolism, the first blood shed to cover human sin, a foreshadowing of what would come in the future with the sacrifice of Jesus. And then God removed them from the garden, not out of anger, but out of love. Because if they ate from the tree of life in that state, they would live forever in their fallenness, forever separated from Him. God placed cherubim with flaming swords to guard the way. Eden was closed. The perfect land was now distant. But God never abandoned them. He walked with them in their new reality. He covered them. He guided them. And that's where our story begins. Because the pain we feel, the emptiness that sometimes haunts us, the sense that something is missing, all of it comes from that separation. But hope was also born there. Because from Eden onward, God began a rescue plan, a path home, an invitation to reunion. And that plan flows through the whole Bible. It goes through Abraham, through Moses, through David, until it reaches Jesus. The Garden of Eden isn't just a place. It's a mirror of the human soul. It's the place we came from and, deep down, the place we all long to find again. Because deep down, what humans long for most is to walk with God in the evening breeze, without guilt, without shame, without fear. Yes, sin entered the world, but hope came with it. Pain wounded us, but the promise healed us. The expulsion from Eden was the beginning of a long journey, but with a certain destination, the return to the Father's heart. And if this moved you in any way, if this piece of the Genesis story awakened something inside you, leave a like, subscribe to the Bíblia Falada channel, and comment below. Do you feel like you still carry echoes of that garden inside you? If you've made it this far, it's because this story moves you too. So take this moment to leave a like, subscribe to the Bíblia Falada channel, and comment below what has touched you the most in this account of the beginning of humanity. Let's keep walking together. Because the story of Eden didn't end. With the expulsion, it just changed scenery. And now humanity had to face pain, guilt, hard work, but also the hope planted in the heart. After leaving the garden, Adam and Eve began to live this new reality. Yes, they were outside of paradise, but they were still under God's watchful eye. And it was in this new world that they had their first children, Cain and Abel, 2 brothers. 2 seeds born of the same womb, but with very different hearts. And it is in this story that the wound of Eden begins to show itself in real life. Cain was a farmer. Abel was a shepherd. Both decided to offer something to God, but there was a subtle and profound difference. Abel offered the firstborn of his flock, the best he had. Cain, on the other hand, brought the fruit of the ground, but not necessarily the best. And God looked with favor upon Abel and his offering, but not upon Cain. Not because God has favorites, but because he sees the heart. And Cain became furious, jealous, envious, but above all, disconnected from his own truth. God, in his patience, spoke to Cain. He said, "Why are you angry? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." Here again, God offers a way. He shows the choice. He gives a chance. But Cain didn't listen. He led Abel out into the field and killed him. The first murder in history. A brother taking his own brother's life. A direct reflection of the fall. God asks, "Where is your brother?" And Cain replies, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" But God knew. God heard Abel's blood crying out from the ground. And this answer from Cain still echoes today. How many times in the face of injustice, of someone else's pain, of hunger, of violence, do we remain silent with the same excuse? Am I responsible? Yes, we are. We are all brothers and sisters. And when sin enters, it destroys the most sacred bond, love for one another. Cain was cursed. His life became one of wandering. And even then, God placed a mark on him so that no one would kill him. Because even when man falls, God still reaches out, still protects, still seeks to redeem. But humanity was walking down a darker and darker path. Adam and Eve had other children, and over time, families grew. Cities emerged. But so did violence, injustice, and the corruption of hearts. And then Genesis says something that cuts deep. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. It's a heavy verse, deep. God didn't give up on humanity, but he felt sorrow, pain, because mankind had gone too far, had sunk into itself. But in the middle of so much darkness, a light emerged. A man named Noah. He was righteous in his generation. He walked with God, and because of him, God decided not to destroy everything, but to begin again with him. And here, once again, we see grace, mercy, hope that insists on being born even in the most unlikely situations. God instructed Noah to build an ark, something completely out of the ordinary, a huge boat at a time when there were no seas nearby. But Noah obeyed. He built, he preached, he warned, but no one listened. And then came the flood. The waters covered everything. The earth was cleansed. But inside the ark, there was life. There was a future. There was a promise. And when the waters receded, Noah and his family came out. They built an altar. They worshipped. And God made a covenant. He promised never to destroy the earth with water again. He placed the rainbow in the sky as a sign. Once again, pain and hope walking side by side. Man fails, but God does not give up. Humanity stumbles, but God lifts up. Because the plan of redemption did not stop. It continues. And if this story still moves you, if you feel that something inside you resonates with it, then go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to our Bíblia Falada channel, and tell us in the comments, what surprises you most about this new beginning? Noah's descendants continued on. His sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, became the fathers of the nations, but human pride rose again. In the city of Babel, people decided to build a tower that would reach the heavens, not to connect with God, but to glorify themselves. They wanted to make a name for themselves, to become gods, and God came down. He confused their languages. He scattered the people. And once again, humanity was reminded that without humility, there is no connection with the Creator. But from one of these scattered peoples, God would choose a man. Just one, to begin a new plan. And that man was named Abram. He lived in Ur of the Chaldeans. He didn't know God the way we do today, but when he heard the divine voice, he believed. And he left everything. God promised him a land, a lineage, a blessing that would reach all the families of the earth. And there began the path of faith. But that is already the beginning of another chapter in the story. What we've seen so far is just the beginning. Eden, the fall, the pain, the birth of evil, but also the first steps of hope, because God never abandons, never gives up, never breaks his promises. And even when man fails, God finds a way to keep writing the story, to save, to restore. It all began in a garden. It all began with communion, with love, with freedom, but also with choice. And the choice continues to this day. The story of Genesis is not just an ancient account, it's a mirror of our soul. It shows where we came from. It explains why things are the way they are. And it points to where we can go. Because the same Creator who planted Eden wants to plant something new in your heart today. If this story spoke to you, if it awakens something deep inside, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the Bíblia Falada channel, and tell us in the comments, what part touched your heart the most? May God bless you, and see you in the next video.